Hello fans! Welcome to this new episode of the Myatt Movie show. This week we're going to be talking about the new Hunger Games film, Mockingjay Part 2. I'm excited. So, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about, but why don't we start out by talking about what we liked about the movie?
What we liked.
Yes.
Okay, so I liked the last scene. That was good. And I liked. That's about it, Miles.
Yeah, well, there was actually a lot that I loved and a lot that I hated. But let's talk about the love. I really enjoyed the visual direction this new director Francis Lawrence. He came in at Catching Fire, and I think he really took cinematically the franchise to another level, where just the cinematography looks incredible. It's slick. The action sequences are really good, well to look at. When it's really easy for it to be, shaky cam. It's very, there's one sequence in particular with some creatures. I won't get into too depth, but the way he framed it was really good. So good. The other thing
reminded me of the scene from Catching Fire with the apes.
It did. Very similar. It was kind of something straight out of Alien, but Aliens. Also, the performances, I thought they were all really good. The person who really has carried this franchise on her back in many ways is Jennifer Lawrence. And I think for most of the movie, with the exception of maybe one part that we'll get into, I think she's very subdued in a great way. Because I think a lot of actresses would take this opportunity to go for that Oscar and go super over the top. But for the most part, in most of the sequences, she's in control of the character, and it feels so real. She's just one of the best actresses working today, and I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's something that you want to get off your chest.
Me?
And I feel like there's some hate. There's some hate in your soul.
Alright, so I saw this movie, we saw it, I'll throw you into it. Well, so we saw it Saturday morning around, we saw it Friday night at 11. We saw it Friday night at 10:30. And I saw it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it while I was watching. I didn't hate it, but the more that I walked away from this movie, and this is how I have to do every single movie I watch, the more distraught and painful I felt. I just was this movie just didn't. It sunk kind of awkwardly, and then it's like the Titanic. It was crashing, then it started to sink, and just sunk all weird, and it just ended up on the bottom of the ocean. So, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't like the Titanic sinking. It was like that cruise line that just was standing up and then just over. You can still see it, and it still has some beauty to it, but overall it's a dead ship.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies kind of similarly to The Hobbit. I really enjoyed it, but I could see why other people would really hate it. And I'm going to make an analogy with Lord of the Rings, because everything compares to Lord of the Rings in some way. So imagine...
But no, before he says that, nothing comes close.
Nothing comes close, but everything is related. So imagine if you get Return of the King, and they want to make it as close to the book as possible. So they decide to split it up into two movies. And the first movie that you get is all talking and build-up and talking. And then the second movie is all action. And not only that, it ends with basically a cliffhanger at the end of The Two Towers. You're like, I'm so excited! Then you have the first one that also ends with a cliffhanger where at that point you're not as excited anymore. And the next one is all payoff. And going even further to the analogy, imagine if they took away all the battles and just focused on Frodo walking into Mordor, not showing the battle for Middle-earth.
No, yeah.
That's exactly what this movie did. I think it followed too closely to the source material, where it wasn't cinematic. There weren't really any moments that paid off, where with all the setup, there wasn't really a payoff moment. Even though there were parts I loved, but I totally agree with you that it just...
didn't sink well.
It left a little hole.
That's exactly how it did. And now to get into some nitty-gritty stuff, we won't do any spoilers here, but I'll mention there was a scene where I believe that Jennifer Lawrence took it a little, not over the top, because if Jennifer Lawrence ever heard this video, she would write me up and I'd be a hated person. But I think Jennifer Lawrence, it wasn't, okay, this is what I was saying. Jennifer Lawrence did an amazing job, exactly what the directors wanted. I just don't think the director did what I thought appealed to most audience members. Because there was a part that left the audience kind of like giggling. And I was like, there's a couple things of this scene took a bunch of people out of the movie because of this laughter. It took me out of the movie. Yeah, it was authentic. We'll get into that later, but it was like authentic, genuine, real life. But it took you out of the movie. I saw the scene. I laughed a little bit. And it did.
And that's right. I don't necessarily think it's. I just think it was an artistic gamble that the director put. Because even though it took you out of the movie, and in the first showing I went, no one really laughed. The second time I saw it, and I really responded to this direction they took with this scene, there were a couple people that were distracted by it. So I think it was more so one of those things where it was a big risk, but it kind of divided. I think it's going to divide people. And it's really not the biggest thing. It's just one decision. One decision that J-Lo, the good J-Lo, makes that really...
You yell cut and you say take again. I'm sorry.
Jennifer Lawrence, I loved what you did in this
You did a good job.
Listen, no, she hates you. If you ever want to meet up...
I actually love Jennifer Lawrence. I love you. In case you're wondering. I never said.
I will always support every decision you make.
I
will support every decision.
I never said I hated Jennifer Lawrence.
You don't like the decision she made, and I like the decision.
I loved the acting she did. I didn't like the decision the directors made.
Can you let me give this plug so
no, because
she can...
She'll like you and she'll hate me, so I don't like that.
I'm sorry. I'm not mad at the director per se. But I do think
I'm not mad at anyone. It
didn't need to be split into two movies. I feel like it would have paid off more if they were to change certain decisions, and if it was just one movie, it would have been something like The Return of the King, where you go, instead of going on 2 like episodes of a TV series, you would have gone on a journey. You would have gone on a journey of the build-up to the battle to the conclusion.
Not to mention,
with all the anticipation.
I think they would have been so much more movie for one. They would have made... It's different... Sorry, let me take that back.
More in the opening weekend.
Yeah, they would have crushed opening weekend.
But I think it was smart from a business decision, because ultimately they made more. It just destroyed it.
By business decision.
Well, I guess... I mean, we disagree, but I think we see eye to eye a little bit. But what would you give this movie? How would you rate this movie?
So... I'm going to rank all my Hunger Games right now, if that's okay with you.
Sure, go for it.
So, Hunger Games number 1, I would give a 3.1. Ready? Number 1?
Yeah.
Catching Fire, and I said this, I think, in a couple of videos. That's a 3.8. That's the highest one. Part 1 is going to be a 2. I was right enough for 2. And this one was a 3.3. Because, and that, we both said
3.3? You give the newest one a 3.3?
I'm trying to shoot, I just forgot. Yeah, I think the new one was a 2.7. And if you look at that...
He gives it a 2.7.
2.7, that was right. And if me and Miles, before we go in the theater, were like, hey, I think what's going to happen is the second one, Catching Fire is going to be our first favorite. This one's going to be our second favorite. The first one's going to be the third favorite. And then the fourth, and then the part 1. And that we walked out of the theater and I was like, yep, that's exactly what happened.
Well, I think most people really like the first one more than we did. But anyways, yeah, I would give this one a 3.2 out of 5. It's better than average, better than it's, like I said, the second best. Catching Fire kind of put it at a level of unrealism for the rest of them to reach. So I'm not disappointed. I think that if you're invested in this franchise, you should go out to see it.
Oh yeah, go see it. I think
some moments really work and pay off, but I don't think it's worth seeing if you don't like that. It's even if you didn't
like the first one, please go see it. It'll make you feel somewhat complete. Actually, I'd say more so than if you didn't see it.
But I kind of wish we saw the first and second one back to back.
It's too much for me.
Too much. It's too boring. But anyways, I guess now's the time to wrap up. Thank you guys for watching this video so much. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment your thoughts on this movie, and subscribe to our channel for more. We actually have a lot more great videos coming out to you very soon.
Yes.
So please do that.
Yes, we both freed up our semester so we can do this.
I have no life. Bye!